So Renee and I were thinking, you guys responded so well to the This Is Halloween colorway that was featured on Fiberflex's channel for that beautiful Halloween cowl that she made. We had so many of you buy our yarn. It was amazing, and thank you so much. We thought it would be so much fun if you guys could see how Renee constructs our project bags and then see how your little yarn came to be. It's kind of strange because I'm so used to music being in the background. I think your creative spot has to be something that speaks to your soul, and because stupid YouTube, you can't use whatever music you want. So I'm doing this super quiet, and it's a little weird, but we're going to get through it. First thing I'm going to say is safety first. Even though these chemicals don't have fumes or smells or anything like that, they have these little teeny tiny particles of color, and you're breathing it in, and if you sneeze, achoo, the whole rainbow will come out. So always wear a mask. And gloves. Gloves are big. So let's see. The first thing I do is I soak and prepare my yarn. And then I cover our table in some saran wrap. I think the most important thing to keep in mind is, have fun with it. There are no mistakes. You're gonna do great if you're doing this for the first time. When we started this, it was because Renee never could get the colors that she wanted. Oh, speaking of Renee, I should thank her because I'm wearing one of her masks. I'm always wearing her mask. As you all know, my bitch sews. And so Chop Shop Bitch at Etsy.com, and you can get your magical mask.
Well, the way we start our project bag is I sew my two contrasting fabrics together, which I totally forgot to record, and I apologize. And then I find a lining fabric that coordinates with the project bag. And so I lay my project bag onto the lining and make sure it's all squared up, and then get ready to cut with a rotary cutter. You could do this with scissors also, but the rotary cutter gets you a much cleaner cut. I'm doing this awkwardly because I don't want my arm to block the camera as it's recording. Normally, I would always make sure that the side I'm cutting is on my right hand side, but if I did that, I would be blocking the camera and you wouldn't be able to see it. So if this looks awkward, it is. We're both in an awkward situation. And now for the zipper. And I use a little tab of contrasting fabric to put on the end to make it easier to sew in, and it gives a little contrast on the top of the bag as well. Okay, so now we're going to put the zipper in and sew the pocket to the lining of the bag. Instead of sewing my zipper to the front of the bag and then sew the lining to the zipper, I sandwich the zipper in between the right side of the bag and the lining fabric because it cuts down on half the time. So it'll be a little tricky if you're a beginner, but if you've been sewing for a while, you'll love this. Ta-da! So much faster. And then we're just going to top stitch to hold the fabric in place and to give a more finished look to the top of the bag. Okay, you'll see how clean this looks on top. Ta-da! Let's see what Cass is doing.
With Jennifer's yarn, it was sectioned into 6 little sections, all somewhere around this big. Yeah, I'm super exact. I gotta measure with my wingspan. And I did it in a mirror image. So all that I really do is I map it out a little bit. This looks about right, and this looks about right. We're good. The first thing I'm going to say is I have dyed with just about everything from coffee to fruits, and of course everybody has done the whole oh yeah, Kool-Aid dye. And you can achieve beautiful colors with just about everything. But what's mostly important is that you use a yarn that's knit or crochet worthy. These are future heirlooms you guys are all out there creating. And the term is not used loosely. When you say something is knit worthy, you're putting your heart and soul into it. Make sure those yarns deserve it too. Our yarn is actually sourced from Italy. It is yummy, delicious. It loves color so much. And it doesn't take a whole lot to achieve these vibrant colors. And what's really interesting is, I'm sure you've seen everybody dyeing and giving tutorials online about how to dye. And they use a dye pot. And in that dye pot, you'll see that it just absorbs all the color and the water will run clear. Well, here we're using a little more pigment, a little more precision with where we're putting color. But it still loves that color. If you're using a less than fabulous yarn, you are going to see all that color residue escape because it didn't really want to be there.
And we're back. Working away. I'm now sewing down the side seams and across the bottom of the project bag. And then I will do the same thing to the lining, but I'll leave a small opening in the lining so we can turn it later.
When we look at this yarn, it will definitely show a tiny bit of color, but nothing compared to, you know, like that huge amount. See, there's just, it's mostly water with a tiny bit of tinting to it because he's pretty happy with this color. Also, when you're painting, you don't want to disrupt all those beautiful little fibers. All of these yarns are spun and have all these incredible little tiny fibers in them. You want to make sure that you're not causing them to dreadlock and mat up or split so your needles go straight through it. You want to squish it in, massage it in, but definitely don't rub it in. And what makes this way of dyeing so different to, say, tie dyeing is there's a heat element involved in this. And so our little Italian friend here, he likes moist heat. And so we give him what he wants. He's happy with us. We give him what he wants, and we get beautiful, vibrant colors from him. Okay. And like I said, we're doing just a mirror image, which is what gave that, well, she's just incredible. Jennifer from Fiberflux, she's got to be some sort of math whiz, and on top of being about the most creative person, she's fabulous. And I don't know how she did that. This is Halloween, that spooky cowl.
Okay, so now I'm just closing up or closing together the square notches that I cut out of the edges of the bag. And that's what makes it a roomy bag to hold all your things. And now I'm just inserting the handle into the inside of the bag, and then we'll sew this last notched edge. That was a mouthful. Closed.
I think what's really important is just don't be too afraid of colors. For me, I think all the Halloween stuff that you see is usually orange and black. And don't get me wrong, I love the orange and black. But I wanted to have something a little different. Just like with Christmas, not everything needs to be red and green. And I think our Christmas colorways are going to shock a lot of people because although red is my favorite color, not everything could be the red and the green. And not everything is that holiday green. So we had a couple people even say to us they want our Christmas bag, but they don't want just red and green. And we were like, don't worry about it. That's not happening. There will be red and green, but just not all red and green. If you're just starting out, we had a really sweet girl contact us that she is a huge fan of Jennifer and that she loved this cowl so much, but she unfortunately is allergic to wool. And so I definitely would love to create something that she could use because that cowl is amazing. And there is a huge amount of joy in having these indie dyed yarns where you know somebody put lots of love and care into it. And I actually bought cotton because she was not allergic to cotton. And I had read that cotton is awful when it comes to dye. It does not love the color the way wool does. And so I figured, well, we'll add more acid. We'll give them extra love.
Okay, we've got to hurry through this so we can see what happens with cast dyes, the cotton yarn. I'm intrigued. I'm just finishing up the last part of the bag and sticking my arm through the opening that I left so I can turn the bag.
And maybe, just maybe, we can create something for her that would be just as special and have the vibrant colors. Well, it doesn't really work. I actually bought cotton yarn. What did I do with it? The exact same colors in cotton became spring. My green turned into aqua. My vibrant purple is light lavender. So, lesson learned, everybody. But never fear. I'm not giving up. Somehow I'm going to do it. I told her I'm going to tie-dye it. So, we'll see what happens. So, this, although these are the colors, we did offer a little darkness because it is Halloween after all. Speckle with anything you like. My favorite way to speckle is with sprinkles. Renee doesn't like when I speckle with sprinkles because it's that carnauba wax. And she says it leaves a little. So now I'm Jackson Pollocking it. And I'm just, you know, have a little fun with it. That's it. I hope this one is yours. He definitely was created with love. I'm just going to wrap him up and put him in the heat, and he'll be ready to see you next week. Bye.
Okay, what I'm doing now is just sewing up the opening that I left open in the lining, because you don't want your stuff falling into the lining and getting stuck in your project bag. So we want to sew that opening closed. And now we're just going to push the lining to the inside of the bag, and then it will be all finished. And you want to be gentle, and you have a cutie little project bag to go with Cass's beautiful yarn. We'll see you guys next week. We love you. Adios.